Hey y'all, hi. Today I present to you 5 things I would avoid when shopping for a fall and winter wardrobe. The seasons are just starting to change. We're all just starting to get bit by the bug of fall fashion. And danger lurks around every turn, kind of. It kind of does. That's what this video is about. I will link my book in the description box down below. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm Hannah. I make fashion and beauty videos. I hope you'll subscribe, and let's get right into the meat of this video. Okay, number 1, the big one. This is like the reason I even am making this video is basically to say this on camera so that I myself will metabolize it. Like I need to grab myself by the lapels and tell myself this one. So many of you probably also need to hear it too. The number 1 thing that I would avoid when building a fall winter wardrobe is buying new stuff for the season before you survey what you already have. Because here's the thing, at least for me, a lot of my sweaters are in boxes in the basement. A lot of my coats are in the basement or in a closet that I don't open very often because I haven't needed them for months and months. And I remember a lot of them, but I don't really have that like fully developed, visceral, lived sense of what I truly have for the coming season. The weather's starting to get cold. It's exciting. I'm seeing imagery of outfits that I want to recreate. I'm like, I want to dress like that. I want to wear that. And I'm like, yay, it's time to buy sweaters and coats and boots. That's the feeling in the air. And maybe it will be time to buy like a sweater, a coat, or a pair of boots, maybe. But before I do that, I am definitely going to take out all of my sweaters and coats and boots that I already have and not just get the boxes out, but have like a try-on party. I'm going to put every single one of those garments and accessories onto my body and look in the mirror. And I recommend you do the same. Get it all out before you go shopping, before you make a purchase. Get it all out, get excited, put it on your body. Put together outfits. Put together outfits that you are excited to wear. Be your own inspo image, and create that sense of excitement from within. And then, from a place of a feeling of abundance, check in with yourself about whether or not you really need to make a purchase this year, especially a major purchase like a pair of boots or an overcoat. And maybe you do. I think in many cases, doing that, having that try on party will show you the holes or the hole in your fall winter wardrobe, but then you know exactly what you're doing. And then you might even liberate yourself to actually invest in something that's nicer, like spend a little bit more of your budget on your one winter coat that you buy or your one pair of boots, because you know really confidently that it is coming from a place of actual necessity and not just because you saw somebody on Pinterest wearing it or you saw someone walking down the street wearing it. So there are multiple benefits, so many benefits to waiting until you have surveyed everything and tried everything on before you do any shopping. Speaking of investment, the second thing that I would avoid when shopping for a fall wardrobe is shoes that aren't versatile. And I mean this in 2 ways. Some shoes aren't versatile fashion-wise, like they only look good with a specific outfit or a specific kind of outfit. And some shoes aren't versatile weather-wise. Like you can't wear them in the snow and the rain, or otherwise wear them like to do a lot of walking, for example, in the cold. Winter shoes are so tough because you often have to brave the elements in them. But so many shoes on the market that are designed to brave the elements are not going to elevate your winter wardrobe. They are not going to go with the clothes that you might be the most excited to wear this winter. So if you go for a really practical option for your winter boots without considering style, you might end up going down this pathway a lot when you're getting dressed. You're like, okay, it's snowing, so I have to wear the practical boots. But the only pants that really go with them silhouette-wise or vibes-wise are like leggings. So now you have to wear leggings because you have to wear the practical boots. And now you are dressing down today and you just can't reach for those amazing flannel pants that you invested in, or that stunning like chunky polo sweater that was the sweater that you were the most excited to wear this winter, because the vibe of the entire outfit is gone in this direction that doesn't suit those things. And then those clothes, the clothes that you love the most, they languish. Or you end up just wearing the flannel pants and the chunky polo because you're like, this is how I want to dress, but you have to wear the boots because of the weather, and then your shoes are ruining your outfit. However, the total opposite doesn't work either, right? If you buy boots, if you specifically buy boots that look amazing with those flannel pants, and then you're like, aha, these are always the boots that I'm going to wear with those flannel pants. I'm going to look so good this winter. But those boots aren't sturdy enough for the weather where you live or the walking that you have to do. Then you will either ruin the boots by wearing them in the wet weather, be in pain because you're wearing them when you have to walk a lot, or not wear them and then not wear the flannel pants, and then you're back to where you started. Here's what I would do instead. Hold out for shoes that are both. Just go that extra mile with the search or with waiting for the right pair to turn up to go on sale, for the vision of the shoes that are both to really click for yourself. Hold out for shoes that are both. For me, for the past few years, it has been lug-soled Chelsea boots that have a really beautiful quality to them, like really palpable visual quality to the leather. And they're quite minimal, so they can be dressed up easily. But they're made by a serious boot company that makes like snow boots and hiking boots. Mine are made by Grenson Boots, so they can brave like any kind of weather, and they're totally waterproof, and the soles have traction on them. I can dress them all the way up, and I often put them on because it was snowing specifically, because they're really, really great in the snow. So they really cover the entire spectrum. And having winter shoes that fully check both of those boxes has made me realize that I never want to go back. So I'll put some suggestions below. I'll also link my video about what to do when your shoes are ruining your outfits. I'll find some links to lug-soled Chelsea boots. I don't know if mine are still available, but there are a lot that are. And I'll try to come up with other solutions, like other types of shoes that I might buy instead besides lug-soled Chelsea boots that could work for both. So check the description box for that. The third thing that I would avoid when building a fall wardrobe, you already know, acrylic sweaters, or mostly acrylic sweaters. I've talked about this before. I won't go on at too much length. I mean, I know that a lot of you have heard me talk about this before. Acrylic is basically plastic. The longevity is terrible. It just gets really disgusting really quickly. And if you've ever bought a sweater that seemed like the price was too good to be true, especially a piece of fast fashion, it was like the huge funnel neck, really chunky, really long, felt super luxurious and indulgent, and like it would have been really expensive, because sweaters that have that much material, that are that lovely, tend to be really expensive, but it was like shockingly affordable. And then by halfway through the winter, it's like, it just looks gross. It's like grimy in a way that you can never clean, and it's pilling in a way that you can never depill, almost like melting. It's probably because it was 100% acrylic or mostly acrylic. It's like getting a paper towel instead of a washcloth to do a job. Okay. That is what an acrylic sweater is. Acrylic sweater is like the paper towel of the garment, the knitwear world. It's like one use only. I am a huge fan of 100% wool, merino wool, especially like really sturdy wool. However, I don't think that all blended knits are bad. Like some inclusion of extra materials sometimes can make a sweater really sturdy. I really love the Ozma knitwear, for example, and it tends to have a little bit of, not all of it, but I think a little polyamide. Let me check. Oh my God, the Ozma sweaters are so pretty this year. I mean, most of them are actually either 100% alpaca or an alpaca cotton blend. Yeah, but sometimes some of their knits have a little bit of recycled polyamide in them. And I've had some sweaters over the years that have just a touch of something in addition to a natural fiber, and they wear really well. Sometimes there can be a benefit to that. So I'm not as much of like a purist and a stickler as I have sometimes appeared to be. But if a sweater is 100% acrylic or mostly acrylic, specifically, it has an expiration date that is probably too soon for comfort, okay? At least it's just something I would avoid. That's the premise of the video, and that is something that I always avoid. What I would do instead, knitwear is one of my passions and one of my greatest indulgences with my budget and in my wardrobe. So I have been known to spend 2 months of my budget on a single 100% wool sweater. So personally, that is what I do. I love knitwear enough to forego a lot of other purchases in order to invest in the good stuff. And I've never regretted that. But I know that that's not for everyone. And my other suggestion is to go to the men's knitwear section at your local thrift shop. Go to the thrift shop once a week. Don't get distracted. Just zoom to the men's sweater section and just go through it. Bam, 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 bam. Just like survey everything that's there. And then if you don't find something, leave. So you make it like a quick trip. Look at every size, because in that setting, sizing doesn't mean anything. You're just looking at each garment for what it is. If you do that, you will, I promise, eventually end up with a spectacular, chunky, 100% wool sweater for a song. And it'll be in perfect condition. They are out there, my friends. Okay, the fourth thing that I would avoid doing when building a fall wardrobe or a fall winter wardrobe is specifically, I talk a lot about the drawbacks of fast fashion, but specifically I want to talk about fast fashion outerwear, like a coat. Because here's the thing. If you buy a brand new coat, like my dream right now, a long, hefty, camel colored overcoat. If you buy it from a fast fashion shop, it's still going to cost a lot. Like it'll cost a lot for that shop and potentially still kind of cost a lot for your budget. That's going to be one of the most expensive things in the store on that day. So if you do that, you forfeit the single only benefit of fast fashion, which is the low price. The single short-term benefit that often causes people to choose something like that. You're not really getting that benefit if you spend that money on a coat, but you still end up with something that will show its low quality, like potentially to the point of looking horrible by the end of this season. Essentially, if nothing else is an investment piece, a coat should be. I once did this. I'm speaking from experience. I once found, it wasn't long, but it was like a mid-thigh length, sort of barrel-shaped camel-colored coat at H&M in the sale section. This was before I went to Argentina, so I was probably in my late 20s, and it was probably 2012 or something like that. Wow. Anyway, it was a good deal, at least at that time. But the thing is, it looked so bad so quickly. It looked like a wool coat, like a camel coat, like a beautiful wool overcoat, but it wasn't. It was made of synthetic fibers. It was probably all like acrylic and polyester. It immediately started getting those kinds of long, stringy pills that you can't really pick off. The surface of it started to become really gross. It got kind of smelly. I really wanted it to be a beautiful version of itself. Like I loved the overall impact of it, the color, the look, what it added to my wardrobe. And so it was really hard to let it go, but it looked so bad. And if I had spent a lot of money, oh my gosh, it would have been so disappointing and much harder to eventually kind of part with it and find a better coat, which is what I eventually did because it just looked so gross. And also it wasn't that warm for very cold climates. It looked like an extremely warm winter coat, like a wool coat or like an insulated coat would look, but it wasn't because it was cheaply made. So it was just quilted, probably with more polyester, and a dud all around, a dud masquerading as a good deal. So what I would do instead, if saving up for really good outerwear, or if buying or saving up for really good outerwear isn't an option, then maybe the next step down is an option, which is stocking really good outerwear until it goes on sale, until you can get it at the price that you are able to afford with your budget, as two other good things in order to save for it. Like what I wouldn't do is spread my budget around and spread kind of a lot of it towards a cheap coat, but then like make sure that I can get other things as well. I think consolidating your budget on a coat in order to avoid a fast fashion coat is wise. Check online designer consignment shops. That is a great place to find a very high quality coat for the same price that you would probably pay if you bought a fast fashion coat new in the shop. Thrift shops, of course, are a good place to look. I once I think it was like $13, I want to say it was $12.99, found the most extraordinary vintage, like Kelly green draped, oversized coat. Absolutely one of the most stunning things I've ever owned in my entire life. And it was in perfect condition. And that was at just like a normal thrift shop. Basically, however you acquire your good quality winter coat, whether it is secondhand or new on sale, just take any route other than spending kind of a lot, but not as much as a good coat costs new on a fast fashion coat. Okay, and the last thing that I would avoid when building a fall wardrobe or fall winter wardrobe is short-term trends. And this is going to be a little bit different for different people because some trends are short-term for some people, but have longevity for others because it's personal style, right? So something that's trending now that you know is it for you for life. That's not a short-term trend. That is part of your personal style. You have to be canny enough and understand your own personal style enough to be able to recognize when you're drawn to something because it's trendy and the difference between that feeling and when you're drawn to something because it is going to kind of slot into your personal style for the long term. And here's the thing. Some people's personal style includes kind of tiptoeing into things that are trendy, like dipping your toe into what's trending now. If you manage it well, and depending on your situation, that can be okay, like within reason. I'm not saying never do that. Your personal style has to be completely isolated from trends because it's just not everybody's reality. But a lot of winter clothing, like fall winter clothing specifically, is more expensive, like more substantial, and therefore needs to last longer for you physically than just like a trendy t-shirt that you might buy in the summer. Winter clothes are fashion, but they also are protection. They also protect you from the elements. So it's like these decisions are just a bit more serious. So I try to avoid investing in winter clothes that are conspicuously trendy, that I'm not totally sure have that longevity for me and my personal style, more than I try to avoid that in like the spring and summer. For example, right now, those scarf coats, you know, those like, they're like cropped below the hips and there's like a big scarf attached to the coat that's the same material as the coat. So it's sort of like you're just swathed in drapey fabric, which is something that I love in theory. In theory, it is part of my personal style. But I'm seeing those coats everywhere and I like them. They're just so everywhere. And I fear that if I was like, ooh, and I got one, you know, it's me. So I would get a good quality one. And I fear that even though it would be so exquisitely beautiful, and then it would be nice enough to last 10 years or to like pass down to my child, you know, I fear that it would be significantly less exciting for me next fall. I'm just not totally sure that it wouldn't be significantly less exciting for me next fall when it's not as fresh, when there isn't that spark. So I'm avoiding the temptation right now to buy a coat like that specifically. I'm trying to stick to pieces that I am 100% confident will have the stylistic longevity for me. Now, that might be scarf coats for you. I'm sure there are people out there who have just been waiting their entire lives for the world to be awash in scarf coats because that's it for them. Like that is going to be your coat for 10 years and it will spark just as much excitement for you next fall. This is about knowing yourself and checking in with yourself, not just about whether you like something now and want to wear it now, but if it's one of those winter investment pieces, about whether it's something that you are going to continue to like far into the future. So that is it. Those are 5 things that I would avoid and that I'm going to try my mightiest to avoid when building a fall and winter wardrobe. I mean, my hope honestly is that I'll pull out all of my sweaters and coats and I'll realize I already have a fall and winter wardrobe and I don't really need to do that much, if any, building. But I know that a lot of us do need coats and scarves and boots right now. And my hope is that this video will support you in approaching that endeavor with wisdom and the joy that comes from knowing that you are approaching an endeavor with wisdom. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.